All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Thank you, everyone. You know, the Tuesday recorded audience is always my favorite recorded audience, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. It is the end of the year, a crappy year, if you're asking me. Yeah, I'm not happy with this year. My dad died this year. That's no fun. We've elected a guy who I'm very worried about, and all of his billionaire friends and what they might have in store for our country. They've got some, there's nothing wrong with billionaires. Let me just say that. And we're all trying to be billionaires. You know, my ship has sailed, but you may still have a chance at billions. But all I'm saying is the plans that they have specifically bother me. But anyway, point is, I hope you had a better year, and I hope for all of us a better year ahead. I am missing my credibility glasses today, which is...
What happened?
I know. I can't locate them, which is outrageous. In my own home, I can't locate them. But Kim is here, and
Kim,
I will
how are you?
lean on her a little bit. And then Tony, of course, I always lean on.
Thanks, Tony.
So we will get this show underway. The last show of 2024. I'm excited. I'm excited for Richard Greene, the Civics Dean. He will join us at the bottom of the hour. We touched on it yesterday. Actually, you touched on it in the chat. The issues around Donald Trump becoming the next president are complicated by the fact that he is an adjudicated insurrectionist. And for that reason, there is a significant constitutional impediment to him actually becoming president. However, it looks as though that is being bypassed, ignored, etc. I'll have Richard explain a little bit more. And it is likely that the efforts to block his swearing in will fail. But that significant group, lawyers, constitutional lawyers, and others who are efforting, bringing attention to this issue, and there is a march planned, and I think it's in 3 days. So Richard will talk about that. And again, much of what we have to talk about we'll continue to lay out through the rest of the week, but today Richard will give us a blast of that. Jefferson Graham also along, and I am updating quickly the funeral details on Jimmy Carter, who, as you know, passed away at 100 years of age. There is a state funeral to be held for the former president, and then he will be buried next to his wife in Plains, Georgia. He's going to lie in state, is that right, Kim? Or
first, it starts on Saturday. There's going to be a motorcade that will accompany Carter's body traveling through Plains to his boyhood home. They'll pause in front of the family farm. Then they're off to Atlanta, where the motorcade stops at the Georgia State Capitol. They'll have a moment of silence there. And then he'll go to the Carter Presidential Center, where he'll remain in repose until early in the morning of January 7th, which is next Tuesday, so a week from today. And then he goes to Washington, where he'll lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Thursday of next week, Carter will be honored with a state funeral at the Washington National Cathedral. And that's the one where you have world leaders come.
Sure. It's right down the street for most... for Trump, for most of the administration officials like Biden, et cetera.
January 9th has been declared a national day of mourning in the United States in honor of Jimmy Carter.
In memory of Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is one that I have answered before, and now I cannot remember the answer. Okay, so the question is, what's the difference between lying in repose and lying in state? And I wonder if you could Google it. I know, and just check it out and tell me. I always forget. I think there's not a difference in a way, but I don't really know. Let me put my credibility. These are the fill-in credibility glasses. I can't really see through them. And I also, they give me a headache. So that's why I don't wear them much. But I'm counting on, I can't really see that, but I see that, bravo, Tony, for bringing that up. Repose and state can refer to both the tradition of a deceased person's body being available for public viewing and a type of legal claim. But we don't care about the legal claim. Lying in repose, a tradition where the body of a deceased person is made available for public viewing, often in a church, etc. Lying in state, a more formal tradition where the body of a deceased official, such as a head of state, is placed in a state building, usually the Capitol Rotunda. So there you go. So yeah, so lying in repose is the same thing as lying in state. It's
Right.
just that you're not in an official building.
But if
Okay.
you're not a government official, they call it lying in honor.
They call it lying in honor?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So according to NPR,
Yes.
because he was a member of government, Senator John McCain was lying in state when his casket was in the Arizona and US Capitol buildings. Those who are not government officials, like the Reverend Billy Graham, lie in honor when in a Capitol.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great. I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I always thought the word honor referred to something that was still happening, still alive, in other words,
And
you know.
then it says when the casket is elsewhere,
Yes.
McCain would be said to lie in repose. So when you're in an official state building like that, you're lying in state. When you're somewhere else, you're lying in repose. And when you're not a government official, you're lying in honor.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Well, very well explained. Thank you, Kim, which is
Kim, how are you?
Very, very well done. That is Kim, who, if you're new here, is the news hound, the news, the dogged news person who follows all things breaking and just, as you've seen, provides us with explanations for things we don't know about. And so for that, I give you some end of year applause. Yeah, I do.
All right.
Yeah, I do. There's one thing that Jimmy Carter didn't do in his 100 years. And I'm going to ask you to do it right now. And that's smash the like button like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron
That's
rod.
right. Thumbs up.
Smashed it with your
Yeah.
iron rod.
It helps us in the world of YouTube. I have no idea why it helps, but apparently it does help. So thank you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Those are your details on Jimmy Carter. Linda Lavin has passed away. She will not be lying in state or
Alice.
repose. But Alice, who was a lovely Tony Award-winning and Golden Globe Award-winning actress, was in the sitcoms of the 70s and 80s in a big way. As you say, Alice was, I think it was in the 80s. She was 87 years old, died unexpectedly from complications from lung cancer, which she had recently discovered, apparently. And she was most recently at a premiere of the No Good Deed Netflix premiere. And she was in No Good Deed. So she was working, well into her later years. She was in Broadway shows, including Broadway Bound, 7 decades of performance, appearances in film, television, and on and off Broadway shows, as I say. Born in Portland, Maine. She attended the College of William and Mary in Virginia. She starred in several campus plays, and then it was off to the races. Landed a role in A Family Affair on Broadway in 1962. And the rest is show business history. So, Linda Lavin, we mourn her passing on this, the last day of 2024. What's that, Kim? Anything?
No, I remember her. And she was, kind of part of the TV of my childhood.
Yeah, she was the part of the landscape of the 70s and 80s. I think it's true. So I'm going to add her to the list of people I'm sorry have left this earthly plane on this last day of the year. Good morning from Lima, Peru, says Spencer Jaffe. Wow.
What?
¿Qué
That's a long
pasó?
way away. Wow.
Yes, it's muy far. What is that? Lejos. Wow. I wonder what the details are of Lima, Peru, Spencer Jaffe visits. Is he visiting family? We can build our own narrative. But Spencer, welcome. Welcome. The other thing I want to mention to you, and this is, again, we start with stuff that isn't necessarily super political, and then we're going to get into, as I mentioned, Richard Greene is stopping through, and we're going to talk about Trump, the coming inauguration, the legit constitutional questions around his swearing in, all of that sort of thing. I love that we talk about a swearing in when it comes to Donald Trump, since the oath means nothing to him. You know what I mean? It's like just another place I got to show up, put on a tie, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, God, God, God. Yeah, I'm out.
They should make him say it twice. First you say it, and then they should look at him and say, okay, now say it like you mean it.
He can say it like he means it. That's not an issue with him. Saying stuff like he means it is sort of the coin of his realm. But when it comes to actually pay no attention to what Donald Trump says. Pay only attention to what he does. There are northern lights that you can see tonight in 18 states. Sadly,
so
for many of our
exciting.
viewers, in California, we have many supporters and viewers in California. You will not be able to see them, at least based on scientists' projections. You won't be able to see them in California.
But guess one of the states you can see them.
Is where you are, Oregon.
Oregon. Thank
Yes.
you.
Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana. You'll be able to see it. Also, Wyoming. It's the northern tier of states. Anything north of Nebraska, from Nebraska up. There it is. Tony's got the map up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly where you'll be able to see the northern lights. And so that includes a lot of people who are in New York and New England, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. The swing states will be able to see it. How about that? That's great.
A little reward for the swing states.
Yeah. Sorry you guys missed it on the president, but maybe you'll make it through for this one. It is the Northern Lights, and there's a particularly active, I guess, geomagnetic storm, and because of that, it's going to be a supposedly, potentially, fairly impressive showing of the Northern Lights. So if you can see them, get out to them, get outside and see them. You can't get to them, but there they are. I mean, usually where is that? That is in Manitoba.
Somewhere snowy.
Yeah. If you really get north, I mean, it's a hell of a show. So this geomagnetic storm is maybe going to make for another great sky show tonight. Have you seen them before, Kim?
I haven't. I've looked for them, though. The last time we were supposed to have been able to see them in California, my son and I were driving around at night trying to go to the highest ridges and get us a glimpse, but we never saw them.
Well, I think I saw them in college.
Okay.
I was lying on in the big quad there at college, lying and looking up, and it was pretty impressive. Now, it's possible I was just high, and that I didn't actually see anything. But that was my recollection. So anyway, I think I have seen them, but that was many, many years ago in a galaxy far, far away. So
The Mark Thompson Show.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. The long national nightmare has ended. They have a settlement after 8 years in one of the longest and most bitter divorces in Hollywood history. So you've got that. Yeah,
Finally.
you've got that. It's an odd brag, but you do have it. Angelina Jolie's lawyer, James Simon, said, more than 8 years ago, Angelina filed for divorce from Mr. Pitt. She and the children left all of the properties that they had shared with Mr. Pitt, and since that time, she is focused on finding peace and healing for their family. This is just one part of a long, ongoing process that started 8 years ago, he said. Frankly, Angelina is exhausted, but she is relieved this one part is over. And there they have it, the couple in happier times, her looking lovingly at Brad Pitt. How old is Angelina Jolie? How old is Angelina Jolie, smart people? You'll tell me. How old is Angelina Jolie? She just got divorced. She's single and ready to mingle. How old is she, though? 51? So anybody want to put some of these guesses up there for me? Or 52, 55, 51, says Phineas. 55, says Bill. 50, says Sandy. 52, says Cindy. Everybody's going 47, says Katie Lynch. 58, says Sergio. 55, says Gil C. Everybody's in that 51 to 58 range. 51, says Ronnie. 47, says Gene. I don't think any of those guesses were correct. Is that possible? The actual retail price, Angelina Jolie is 49 years old.
Oh.
Yes, 49. She is.
Well, she starts her 50s in a whole new way, ready to, find love again.
When she would think about this, she's been involved in a very high-profile relationship, and it wasn't her first. Remember when she was with Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah, and they were wearing blood around each other's necks, each other's blood. Yeah, that was creepy.
That was the kind of loyalty and commitment that those MAGA people have toward Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like if you asked them, hey, we all took a bit of our blood and we commingled it with, the Trump blood that we bought online, and we wear it proudly with our Trump sneakers. You know what I mean? I feel like that would have been, and there they are. Yeah, the two of them. And that was a hot, hot romance. But that was the kind of, true, I will give you everything, you give me everything kind of relationship that the MAGA people have with Donald Trump. I wish for everyone that kind of love. The problem with that kind of love
didn't last very long.
Thank you. The problem with that kind of love is what Kim's saying, which is that it burns out fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the way it is. And before you know it, you're sitting in an Oregon kitchen. That's what's happening. Kim is on it looks like a set for either a sitcom or a commercial. I said yesterday, like a Folgers coffee commercial, from the old days.
Sure.
But it could be any one of those kitchen sets. It's perfect. But it's an actual kitchen she is in. She tells us it's not a set.
Not a set.
There are the ladies who they don't know it, but right now when you're seeing that picture, they are about to have their regular coffee substituted with Folgers crystals. And you see they're in that kitchen that is very similar to Kim's kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I offer you some coffee? Some Coachella Valley coffee?
There you go. I don't have where's my car? I didn't even have time to make it because of the loss of my credibility glasses. So I'm wearing these fill-in credibility glasses, but that's it. I have one last story, and then because one last story in the stories that maybe don't really matter that much. You'll see what I mean when I start it. And I do think this last day of the year, you'll indulge me. Pat Sajak is saying he never wanted to leave Wheel of Fortune.
What?
He was forced out?
Like Joe Biden. He was forced out. The ghosts of game show past and the ghosts of game show future came to visit Pat Sajak. He is determined, allegedly, to steal Ryan Seacrest's spot as the Wheel of Fortune host after he was forced into retirement.
What publication is this from?
It's from a publication that I absolutely would never doubt, Radar Online.
Oh.
They say that Sajak's vigor to host the show actually was regenerated after he returned to do a special holiday episode of Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. You see, Kim, he thought he was over it. But then when he returned to do Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, he thought, wait a minute, I've got more Wheel of Fortune in me. And he is now looking for a way to tunnel his way back to Wheel of Fortune. He got an amazing show of support from the public when he returned. And he is saying that Sajak, Sajak, is dead set on coming back, even if it's not now, maybe in a couple of years. Okay.
Come on.
How old is Pat Sajak? How old old is Pat Sajak? This should be easier. How old is crazy Pat Sajak? He's hung up the wheel and he's become this, what is he? He's
75.
75, you say? Anybody else guessing? 74, Spencer Jaffe from Peru. 76, I'm seeing. 78 says Mo Direct. 82 says Tommy. Wow. 40 is 82, so I can't see with these glasses. 79 says Randy. Yeah, not surprising. You're all close. Pat Sajak, the actual retail price. He's 78 years old. Yeah, 78, Pat Sajak. So,
Mo had
there
it.
you go. All right, so let's review then. Angelina Jolie is 49. Pat Sajak is 78. By the way, Brad Pitt, from whom she was divorced, you know his age. I'm just going to tell you rather than have you guess. He's 61.
He's still really good looking.
He is hot and he is single and ready to mingle.
No,
So,
he
ladies-
has a lady friend.
He does?
Yeah,
What?
Oh my God! This is the way I have to find out about that.
I know. Yeah, he has a
My
girlfriend.
man crush.
They were on the red carpet together. So
Yeah. Let me
I
guess.
think that's
Let me
serious.
guess. She's really pretty. Am I right about that?
well, yeah, yeah, she's beautiful. I mean, she's
yes.
no Angelina Jolie, but who could be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There is that. Yeah. Well, the divorce is final, so he's able to really move on now. But they have kids together and everything, so there's
Yeah.
all of that.
It's sad what happened there with the kids not talking to him and all of that. It
What happened?
sucks.
He had a drinking problem, she was saying, or what was the
Yeah,
issue?
that's what he's accused of having a drinking problem and getting violent on an airplane with them, and who knows what happened in that house or in that family.
Yeah. Love spending part of my birthday with MT Peeps. Luis.
Woo!
Happy birthday to you, Luis. You are a supporter of this show. Luis, with a big shout out to you and a happy birthday. How exciting.
Happy birthday, Luis. There's your
Last
balloons.
day of the year is your birthday. That's exciting, I think. Yeah. Pitt and Jolie have 7 kids. Wow.
Yeah.
Too many kids. It
Too
will
many.
get to you, says Mindy. I didn't say that. Mindy said that. I'm sure all that joy, all that magic, all that life in that house is very, very cool to be. Anyway, Luis, happy birthday again. Yes, you can have one of these attractive Mark Thompson Show T-shirts. I have it in the maroon, but you may want it in the color that you prefer. GetMarkMerch.com. Toss it on and feel like an OG, because you are. You're an OG if you visit the GetMarkMerch.com website. Get any shirt you like. We have it in ladies and men's cuts. Also, I might add, coffee cups with the many phrases that you will find familiar from the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only the beginning. There is way, way more still to come. There's never been anything like this. Yeah, there's that. That's on a mug. I think there's
never been anything like this.
I like the. I like 2 mugs particularly. I like never been anything like it. I have those. I over ordered. I have to buy this stuff just like everybody else. I like Chit Chit Chit. I like Chit Chit Chit, and I like.
We could try ignoring it, sir.
So, yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. So Chit Chit Chit, or we could try ignoring it. Are my
We could try ignoring it, sir.
yeah, I feel like we could try ignoring it might be appropriate for the coming year. Scott says, so glad I stumbled upon your show a couple of months ago, Mark. This punk rock jazzer, check out Punkadelic, loves your show. Happy New Year. Scott Burns, or Burns, Byrnes. I love the spelling. I love the Scott with 2 T's, and I love the sentiment. That's a lot to love. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Thank you for
I stand corrected.
20. I don't know what that was. Oh, that was my. Sorry about that. My elbow hit the wrong
Going
button.
crazy over there.
Yeah, I'm going. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. much.
So that's really cool, Scott. And I don't know, it sounds to me like you're a musician, which I'm so envious of. I think anybody who can really play like that, God, man, that's just a great skill. I lament the fact that that never landed on me. I never really got hit the thumbs up button and then subscribe, says Ricky O'Bear. Ricky O'Bear, one of the OGs on this show, has commented from the very beginning, and we read all comments on all videos. So in any case, I appreciate his support. It was a crappy year, and I'm afraid of the next 4 years, says Carol Perkins. Yeah, me too. I'm not exactly, screaming into the new year with a sense of potential. Do we party as a dying nation or have a funeral instead, says Benaloco? Yeah, thank you for the super chat. Exactly. Look, I think just on a quasi-serious note here at the end of the year, I think there is an effort to kind of ignore, check out. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm going to get out of the news and politics. I don't want to read it. I think that's just that. You talk about sleepwalking to, disaster. That really is the way you sleepwalk. I'd also remind you of something. This incoming president, Donald Trump, cares very much about popular support. If there's enough static and enough noise about something, he does reconsider it. It happens. So look at Matt Gaetz. Of course, the Matt Gaetz thing had to do with votes as well, but I think there's a quality of that I think is quite important to keep in mind in the days ahead. So I would encourage you to stay connected, because we're going to stay connected here.
The Mark Thompson Show.
There was a major hack. The Chinese government, or we think a government-supported actor, hacked the US Treasury. Tony, give us a little wrap package on this, if you would, please.
Is in Washington following this story for us. Nicole, what do we know about the scope of the breach? What were hackers able to access?
Yeah, Lindsay, a Treasury official actually said cyber criminals breached federal workstations remotely, accessing unclassified documents. And in a letter to lawmakers sent Monday, that Treasury official explained that cyber criminals gained access by using a key stolen from a third-party vendor called Beyond Trust, overriding the security of their cloud-based system. That official called the attack a major incident. As you pointed out, the vendor notified the Treasury back on December 8th. Now, while we know that none of the information accessed was classified, still a number of questions remaining for the Treasury, including how many documents were stolen and did they contain any crucial information, any taxpayer information, for instance.
What is the Treasury Department doing in the aftermath of this hack, and is the Chinese government responding?
Yeah, well, a Treasury Department spokesperson said it's taken that service offline, and it added in a statement that there's no evidence indicating the threat actor has continued access to Treasury information. So they're now working with the FBI and the nation's top cybersecurity agency called CISA to determine really what was the exact impact here. As for any reaction, a Chinese embassy spokesperson has called the disclosure here a smear attack. Beijing's foreign ministry is also responding, saying that the PRC has, quote, always opposed all forms of hacker attacks.
Nicole, this breach, it comes on the heels of several other Chinese-linked cyber attacks. I mean, there was one from October that we reported on by a hacking group known as Salt Typhoon. It hit telecom companies like Verizon and AT&T. And at that time, a U.S. senator said this should be a wake-up call for the government. Are we doing enough? And what more can you tell us about the timing of all this?
Yeah, Lindsay, you're exactly right. This breach really follows a string of Chinese-linked cyber attacks, including that massive hacking campaign by the group nicknamed Salt Typhoon, that Chinese-linked group. And cyber criminals backed by the Chinese state targeted at least 8 U.S. telecommunications companies. You mentioned a few big ones there. According to U.S. officials, that compromised the metadata of hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of Americans. That's the who, what, where, and when of our phone communications. That notorious group also zeroing in on more than 100 senior government officials eavesdropping on phone conversations and spying on text messages. To your point, the incident served as a major wake-up call, with the U.S. government now encouraging victims there, and really all Americans, use encrypted messaging platforms, WhatsApp, Signal, those blue iMessage text bubbles. Another really important note here, Lindsay.
Jared Kushner used to reach MBS. Use those. Those are the ones that. Go ahead, continue, please.
The holidays are often called the season of giving, but for cyber criminals, it's also really the season of hacking, with organizations frequently understaffed, short on resources. This latest incident is one of many to hit over the holidays in recent years, and it's a good reminder to both government agencies and corporations that attackers don't take holiday days off.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Thank you. Hackers never take a day off, folks. Please stay vigilant. I love that kind of thing. Yeah, look, we've been vulnerable to this kind of thing before. I'm glad, that she mentioned a couple of them. The SolarWinds hack also comes to mind. That involved a breach of government software. Again, it happened at the end of the Trump. Actually, I think SolarWinds was in 2017. It was at the beginning of the Trump administration. And there was a ransomware attack associated with it, but more to the point, there was a total infiltration of the U.S. government, they felt. I believe that was from SolarWinds. And they thought that might have gone back to the Russian government or a Russian state-sponsored actor. But more to the general point, you have U.S. government websites and U.S. government data critical in many instances, because the data breach went all the way to the Pentagon in the case of the SolarWinds case. And they don't even know that they've gotten rid of those elements associated with the hack that could have been placed in the software in that federal government data breach. So this is an ongoing problem, and our ability to firewall ourselves as a government and as a nation from this stuff appears to be limited. We've certainly seen how cyber attackers have, through ransomware, taken over everything from hospitals to courts. We saw it earlier this year. I mean, this year, if you just Google cyber attacks and ransomware this year alone, it's astounding. There's just a Niagara Falls of different incidents. And essentially, these cyber criminals have to be paid out. That's the only way out of the deal.
When you hear that Chinese hackers infiltrated the US Treasury, it sounds a lot worse than it is, because they didn't make off with anything that was, secret or anything sensitive. It was documents and from a workstation that were not top secret or not classified. But the fact that they even managed to infiltrate the US Treasury, that's big.
No, it is, and I have to just say one other thing. Although I generally agree with what you just said, the fact that the government has told you that there were no critical areas that were breached doesn't mean that there were no critical areas breached. Okay?
Sure.
So, but I take your general point. I mean, if you take what they say to be true, then it looks as though you're right. It was nothing critical was breached.
Well, and you could argue that nothing critical was if it's true that nothing critical was taken, that's dumb luck, because it easily could have gone the other way.
Yeah. And I would also say, so you're telling me they hacked the workstations of all of these different Treasury Department employees and nothing critical was taken? What are they doing? What's on their laptop? Or what's on their, I'm just curious, what are they working on in all of those different stations that were hacked? If literally they could all be hacked and nothing critical was taken. It's just astounding to me on a superficial level, but I'm certainly hoping it's true. But anyway, that's a story with the Chinese hack, at least as much as we know at this point. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Lee Kopp, who is an OG of this show, he and his wife were with us at KGO Radio, where this show was birthed. And now they are with us on YouTube and across all the audio platforms on which we show up. Eileen and I wish you all a happy new year. We look to the wit and wisdom of the Mark Thompson Show to help us navigate the next 4 years. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah.
Appreciate your support. You're super supportive and super engaged with the show. You truly are a special part of our community, and I wish you and Eileen a very happy New Year. Same for you, Jim Slayton, another OG. Big shout out to both of you. 2025, we can try ignoring it, sir. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. That really...
we could try ignoring it, sir.
Yeah, we could try ignoring it, sir. Spencer Jaffe from Peru. Happy New Year. 2025 is going to be wild and entertaining. Well, I hope it's entertaining. That's for sure. Thank you for the super chat and for always being around, Spencer. You are another one so critical in our community. Trevor Starr in Hollywood 2024. That is the amount of his super sticker donation. And he says, in mourning of the end of the final year of democracy and freedom. Yeah, it does appear that this is a bleak period that we are entering into, but we will talk more about it. And I think you have to stay vigilant. As I say, I just feel as though you can't sleep on this. You can't say, yeah, I know it's bad. I don't want to know. I think it's really important to stay connected. And finally, Michael Snyder, Happy New Year to everyone at the at the MTG. What is that?
Mark Thompson Gathering.
Okay. Especially the best audience in the known universe. Wow, Michael's sucking up to the audience at the end of the year. I love it. I respect that. It's a fine show business move, and I fully appreciate it. All right, on we go.
The Mark Thompson Show.
One of the controversies that has emerged with the coming swearing in, scheduled for, is it the 20th, Kim, of this coming month, January? One of the coming controversies with the president-elect Donald Trump being sworn in is that he is an adjudicated insurrectionist. It was adjudicated in a Colorado court, and the evidence was laid out by the J6 committee. And so it's a violation of the Constitution to have someone like that sworn in as president. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of a legal scholar on this issue who joins us now and is part of an effort to at least create something of an awareness and maybe an impediment to Donald Trump being sworn in. How about it for Richard Greene, the Civics team? Sir, thank you for being here.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So these are critical days leading up to his inauguration, Donald Trump's inauguration. Tell me how this all lays out, the details of what seemed to be, this is a pretty serious thing that Trump was very much involved with, the fake elector scheme, violent takeover, all of that. So the recent history is replete with evidence of this guy's insurrection, yet it appears that he's moving on to the presidency.
Well, I'm just about to post a letter of apology to President James Madison. And as those of you who studied civics, which would be 11 of you, James Madison was the father of the US Constitution. And listen, nothing is going to happen. Donald Trump is going to be certified on January 6th. Donald Trump is going to be sworn in on January 20th. It's going to be way more than entertaining. It's going to be an experiment with American fascism, unlike anything we have seen in our country's history. And so a friend of mine, Jessica Denson, who used to work with the Donald Trump campaign, and she has quite an interesting history. She has organized a march, I think it's on January 3rd, in DC to help the members of Congress understand that they took an oath, their own oath, on January 3rd. They're taking an oath to uphold the Constitution. That's the only you take. You do not take an oath to Donald Trump. You sadly do not take an oath to Mark Thompson. You take an oath to the Constitution. And the reason that I'm writing a letter of apology to President James Madison is because the Constitution could not be more clear that what the members of Congress must do on January 6th is not certify the election of an insurrectionist. And you went through the examples of that. And the Supreme Court didn't really address that. We can talk about that. And it would be exactly like the United States Congress certifying the election of someone who was 27 years old, or someone like Elon Musk or Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was not born in the United States, or someone who had not been a resident of the United States for 14 years. And that's it. Those are the only requirements up until 1868. And in 1868, 30 years after James Madison's death, the 15th Amendment was created. And in relevant part, in Section 3, it says, no person shall hold any office under the United States who, having previously taken an oath, and what is the oath for? The oath is to obey the Constitution of the United States, as an officer of the United States to support the Constitution of the United States, who shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. That's it. That is a requirement. So you have to be at least 35. You have to be a natural-born citizen. You have to have been a resident of the United States for 14 years. And you can't have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the United States Constitution.
So is there any... Yeah, you're saying, look, it's open and shut. I love your examples, which, it's like any violation of the Constitution. Now, as noted in our chat, I think along the way, if this isn't enforced by, well, Congress is really the body that's charged with enforcing it, then it goes through. And Congress, cowed completely by Trump and having gained power. I mean, if you're in the GOP, your guy won. So, I mean, you sort of have an interest, it would seem, a vested interest in seeing him sworn in regardless.
Yeah, now, there are two things that can happen. One is Congress could take care of this very simply under the 14th Amendment and be in compliance with the Constitution, because at the end of Section 3, it says, but Congress may by a vote of 2/3 of each house, that's the House and the Senate, remove such disability. So, for example, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was elected president at the age of 30, she could still be president if Congress, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, voted to remove such disability. Most people don't talk about that. So Elon Musk could be president if 2/3 of Congress votes to remove such disability. So that is unlikely that would happen, because you would have some Republicans who, are not going to allow one thing, or Democrats who are not going to allow the other. The other thing that's interesting is under the 2022 revision to the Electoral Count Act, you need 20% of the House to put forth an objection to any slate of electors. So how this could go down if there was slightly a different composition of the House or Senate is that someone would stand up and say, I object to Texas, the 40 electoral votes for Donald Trump being counted because they were not cast. The electors did not cast these votes in proper manner because they voted for someone who is not capable of being president of the United States. It then goes to a majority vote of both houses. And then if the majority says, yes, we agree with that objection, then Donald Trump doesn't get those 40 electoral college votes of Texas, and so on and so on. he only needs to be stripped of enough electoral college votes to get below Kamala Harris's 236.
Sure.
If they stripped him of enough to get below 236, Kamala Harris would be the next president of the United States, not J.D. Vance.
That's wild. This is just it's a wild scenario. It feels very John Grisham novel. It feels very, it's even though, and that's why I'm so glad we're talking to you, because the constitutional and legal underpinnings are so solid, coming through you. But it's clearly something that is so outside what the Democrats would do, what the political machine would do, right, Richard? That's why this effort feels, on one level, let me be clear, doomed to failure. That is from a practical standpoint. But on another level, I always feel, make noise about it, talk about it, get it out there. It's important that you make noise and you make your case so that people are at least aware of this stuff. Some of what you just mentioned, I had no idea about that. You can, deny the electoral college votes of a certain state and, here and there actually, work that part of the game.
Well, that's been around for a while. It used to be, before the Electoral Count Act amendment in 2022, that you needed one senator and one House member, right? And that's actually been employed several times. But now they said, hold on, we need more, we need 20%. But the main point, first of all, you and I have talked about, was the election fair, right? Did the greatest technologist in the history of mankind, who can literally drive my Tesla remotely, use code to remotely affect the counting of the election in the key 7 swing states, which were all won remarkably by Donald Trump? So that horse has left the barn. The Democrats didn't want to fight that battle. The Democrats, Jamie Raskin has made some sounds about this. There's no appetite to do it, because Jamie Raskin, in a video that went around, said if we did this, we would all need bodyguards. So the bottom line, Mark, is the reason, there are 2 reasons nothing's happening. And all I'm saying is, listen, I went to law school. I took a year of constitutional law, right? Every lawyer did, right? It says what it says, okay? And I'm just pointing it out and kind of want to rub everybody's nose in it. But there's that. But I understand it's not going to happen. And in part, it's not going to happen because the Democratic Party is a bunch of sissies. And that's one of the reasons that they lost. One of the reasons they lost is that people want a strong alpha leader, whether it's a male or a female. They want an alpha leader because then they feel safe, they feel protected. Democrats do not have balls. We just don't, and it's a problem. But the other reason is that the other side has engaged in a level of political violence that we have never seen in this country, and I do blame Donald Trump for that, and I do blame Steve Bannon for that, and I do blame, Fox News for that, and whatever. And the truth is, if in fact you're going to stand up and object, and then you're going to have a bodyguard for the next, 10 years of your life, protecting you and your family, on a human level, I can understand that, but that's where we are.
Oops,
yeah, the physical intimidation. Yeah, the physical intimidation is a real thing. They're worried about it. They're scared. They're scared for their own physical safety.
I mean, look what happened to Nancy Pelosi's wife. Look, this is a real thing.
Sure.
Nancy Pelosi's husband, sorry.
I have a quick question for you, Richard Greene, the Civics Dean. It is that the whole question of whether Trump was able to run, wasn't that tackled in Arizona? And the Supreme Court of Arizona said, we've decided that either Congress needs to act or the people need to decide. Did that not happen?
So in Colorado, the Supreme Court said, we can take Donald Trump off the ballot because we have adjudicated, or a jury has adjudicated, that he has committed insurrection. The Supreme Court, by a vote of 9-0, said that what the 14th Amendment does is gives Congress the ability to enforce this, not the states. The states can enforce it for their own state officers. So someone running for governor or secretary of state or whatever, that is relevant, right? They can push out an insurrectionist there, but they cannot do it for a national candidate.
I'm seeing this. Colorado, says Raleigh. Yeah, Colorado is what we refer to when we talk about Colorado. Richard, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it was about, just if you can get into your time machine and go back a little bit before the election, it was about whether or not, as an insurrectionist and an adjudicated insurrectionist, again, with all the evidence that was laid bare in all these different forums, J6, congressional investigation, et cetera, whether or not you could, and it was a complete case. They brought the case in Colorado, whether or not you could argue effectively, and whether the court would rule that Donald Trump should not appear on the ballot as a presidential option because of his insurrectionist past. So that's why we keep talking about Colorado. But what Richard's saying is that when that the Colorado case kind of got booted, the Arizona case really got booted, is what you're saying, Richard. And they said, hey, the feds can do this. We really can't. The power of the state isn't here to do it.
This is clearly a federal issue for the presidential race, right?
Yeah.
And that was a 9-0 by the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Colorado had it right. He can't actually hold office, so why even put him on the ballot, says Lawless One. Why put the people through that? Well, and then he got on the ballot, and as we've seen, something happened. I mean, it was a remarkable thing. Just because
now there is an argument. There is an argument, and it was made, but it was rejected by the Supreme Court, that the Congress, at least the House of Representatives, actually did adjudicate that he was guilty of insurrection and impeached him for it. But
Sure.
As we know, in America, impeachment is like an indictment. It's like an arrest warrant. It is not a verdict. And had the Senate, this is why everyone's saying, McConnell, come on, man, you don't like this guy, let's get rid of him. Had the Senate had a few more votes to actually convict Donald Trump of that impeachable offense that the House said he committed, then for sure he would not have been able to run.
Yeah. So, this is all good. I'm looking at different comments. Blue Sparks says, I think Trump did win. I spent a lot of time in Trumper country, and the masses there firmly believe all problems are Biden's fault, and Trump will fix everything. They swallow the Kool-Aid from Fox, etc. I like that comment for the question that I'm going to ask you, and here's what it is. It's that we're, in our own way, in an echo chamber and siloed. We saw the Kamala Harris rallies overflowing with an enthusiasm that we thought seemed to be carrying her, certainly in polling. She had pulled even with Trump, even ahead of Trump in some places. I guess we had seen such tremendous momentum in such a short time that it seemed inconceivable, and still, frankly, remains somewhat inconceivable, that she would lose sort of a run-of-the-table kind of victory that Trump claims, that she would lose that run of the table the way she did. And so it does, to harken back to something else you said, it does make you wonder exactly why the Democrats didn't ask for a paper ballot recount in a couple of instances. That certainly would have exposed any kind of data breach or other manipulation, right?
And the thing, listen, I know it's not determinative, but can someone explain to me why Donald Trump kept saying, we don't need you to vote. We don't need any more votes. I mean, I know that's not the smoking gun we're all looking for, but can someone explain that? And can someone explain why, hold on one second, why Elon Musk told Attorney General Paxton from Texas that we're going to win all 7 swing states before the election, and that Paxton is saying at the CPAC conference, use your Star Wars sort of thing. We're so glad he's on our side. I mean, it just feels icky to me, and I just want all paper ballots to be counted in all elections so that everything is certain.
Well, I completely agree. And I would just say this about the rhetoric, because parsing the rhetoric can be a crazy game. So I'll start with the Trump stuff. I don't know that he didn't mean, vote me in and I'll solve all your problems. You'll never have to vote again. I saw that when he was speaking at that Christian conference. That was sort of his vibe. I can play the
but then
other.
He said we don't even need the votes this time.
Yeah. I don't remember. Is that right? What he said? I remember saying, if you vote, you'll never have to vote again. I thought is what he said. No,
he literally said. Rachel Maddow did a big piece on it, showing like 4 or 5 clips where he goes, "You know what? We have all the votes we need. We don't even need you to vote." He literally said that.
That's pretty.
Just weird,
Yeah, that is weird. The thing I could say if I wanted to represent Trump in this, I would say, well, if you really felt he didn't need the votes, Richard Greene, he wouldn't have stormed the country from rally to rally the way he did. I mean, he really went after it in the last 2 weeks of the election. He was trying to get votes out. He did Rogan's show, I think, twice. I mean, he was working hard as a candidate. If he didn't need the votes, why did he do that? You could say, well, he was just covering for the fact, all right, I'm just saying, I don't know about it. I do, however, put some stock in what you've suggested Elon Musk said, because I feel as though Musk really did have access to information before anyone else. We heard Rogan talk about the fact that he knew these results 4 hours before anything appeared on the screen. I ran that video here, and I'm not at all persuaded that Musk didn't have a big hand in the outcome here. Here you go. Tony's found it for you. Why in the world does Trump keep saying we don't need the votes? This is an interesting question.
Here's one. So I wrote a piece on Substack, why Kamala lost, and there were 22 reasons. Honestly, I think Democrats' policies about illegal immigration was number one. The Fox News, Trump, X, disinformation, lie infrastructure machine was number two. Number three was Democrats being too woke, and that Kamala's with they, them, Donald Trump is with you. Those are the 3 top reasons, in my opinion. But actually, there is a reason that's even bigger, which is Citizens United. And the fact that you have one human being who gets to have disproportionate, not one man, one vote influence on American elections by spending $250 million fucking. I'm sorry. That is not what the founding fathers or anyone in this country wants, except for the billionaires. So
of course that's true. Of course, I mean, if you could get money out of politics, you would completely hit the reboot, reset button on our elections. There's no question about that.
And we can't. You want to know how we can?
Yes, this is the stuff that you're so good with. Go ahead.
Everything is just basic arithmetic in politics. That's why I love it. There is a piece of legislation, several pieces of legislation to reform the Supreme Court. You can either do a rotating thing where they serve every 2 years, they move from one seat to another like musical chairs, and a new president gets to choose one every 2 years, a new person, and within a short period of time, you elect Democratic presidents. That happens. Or you do what FDR wanted to do, and you quote unquote pack the courts, and you get a Democratic majority. They overturn Citizens United, right? And that's easy to do. And then you pass a law saying we're going to have public financing of campaigns, and there will be no individual person who can contribute anything, period. Otherwise, they're in violation of federal election laws, which I do believe that. I believe Elon Musk is also in violation of current laws, but the Trump Justice Department is certainly not going to prosecute.
Let me just follow up on that last thing, and then I'll double back to something else you said. The last thing is about the Elon Musk being in violation now of current campaign laws. Which ones?
I don't know, but you can't, in my opinion, you can't be bribing people to register to vote and then doing lotteries where you're giving $1 million to people, all definitely in favor of one candidacy.
Right.
I mean, I
thought there was a legal case brought, Richard, about that. No, at the time. It was certainly pointed out that it was a violation. And then remember they did that kind of back and fill on it. They said, oh, it was, it's really open to anybody. We're not trying to, it was a weird dance they did.
Listen, we have never really enforced federal election laws properly. And part of that is because who's on the Federal Election Commission, it's like tied and you need to have a majority.
Right,
it's a freaking mess.
You also need a quorum. You need a certain number of people, and we've always been below that threshold. It's a system that's also manipulated within the system.
One of the few things that that Americans are united on, Mark, is that we do not want dark money or really any big money influencing politics. We don't want to influence our politicians with lobbyists who can go to them every 2 years and bribe them. We certainly don't want what Elon is threatening to do. You vote for Donald Trump on this bill, or we're going to primary you, and I'm going to fund that person. I mean, think of the amount of money Elon Musk has to elect whoever he wants in the midterm. Sure.
Well, look at J.D. Vance. He was his Senate seat was purchased by Peter Thiel. I mean, there's no question. He was given $15 million in a senatorial election that, that essentially carried it. You're so right, Richard. It should be public funding. This is a good question. I just want to ask you, can't a third party, Lanzetta says, cross-reference the Starlink and check for any discrepancies? Wouldn't Democrats have an army of lawyers, et cetera, who are prepared for this? It is true, Richard, we heard the Democrats have their own lawyers, and believe me, they're all lawyered up across the nation, and they're ready for whatever. Yet everything passed, and we never heard any sort of legal challenge or even request for recount.
There was a determination during the Jill Stein situation in 2016 where they determined that in order to be able to call for a recount, you had to be a mathematically in contention to win. And Jill Stein was not. So no third party can force that. It really, it was up to Kamala Harris. It was up to Kamala Harris. And neither she nor Mark Elias nor the DNC felt like there was a good enough case. But it's a catch-22. How do you know if there's a good enough case unless you actually start counting even a small percentage of the paper ballots to make sure that they were tracking? And you and I have seen so many TikToks that had all these expert analyses, but nothing is accurate until you actually count the paper ballots, which is not that hard to do. Why do we have paper ballots if we're not going to count them, is my point.
Thank you. That's this is interesting. Monica says, well, I guess we are now a true oligarchy. The SCOTUS made this decision, and now we have to figure out how to get out of it. And, SCOTUS is bought and paid for, too, as we find out. So we really are seeing our entire system succumb to big money, but I mean gargantuan money, and the failings of individuals. When it comes to money and threats of violence, those failings become pretty exposed, as you just said.
Well, the only thing that makes me a little bit happy, and Don Lemon is going viral because he did this huge rant about how stupid Trump people were. Egg prices are not going to go down. Bacon prices, people shouldn't be eating bacon anyway, except for veggie bacon. But bacon prices are not going to go down. Gas prices are not going to go down. The things that they sold America on are not going to happen. And maybe in the midterms, people are going to respond, and we're going to have an overwhelming landslide of Democrats who then would be in position with a new president in 2 years after that to actually make some real positive changes, get money out of politics, get healthcare to a whole nother level, ban assault weapons, on and on.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a pretty significant wish list, but I do think the pendulum will swing back. I think there's no question the pendulum. I mean, if you allow the swing, that is to say, if the elections proceed in some legal way, then the pendulum will swing back. But you can do a lot of damage in that short time.
But as a quick caveat to that, even if there's massive will and massive disappointment in the Republicans, if you somehow have access to voting machines and you have access to $400 billion of Elon Musk's money, it makes winning elections very difficult.
Yeah, that's why I think we're all worried that this can't be undone, and that the future is going to be written in a very permanent way. Let me ask you about...
You wanted entertaining, Mark? We're going to have entertaining.
Well, I think, but again, I like that you're making noise about it. I like that there's a march, that a gathering, a protest. I mean, this is important because it is, it's a noisy environment right now. And if you can make noise yourself about how this is a constitutional violation when it comes to the oath that will be delivered, I think you need to do it. And I had one last question. It's unrelated, but it was one of the things that just showed up last night, and I thought, I've got to ask Richard about this. You know, the sanctuary city thing that's going on in California. Trump is, through Stephen Miller primarily, is warning that the leaders who are associated with the sanctuary city protections in California cities could go to prison over this, that they will pursue legal remedies against all of those leaders. That's what they're threatening. Thought on that?
I believe they will.
Really?
If you've watched Stephen Miller, who is just, in my opinion, a despicable Santa Monica resident, I'm ashamed that he is our neighbor. And if you've watched the people who are going to take over the immigration policy in the United States, they seem unbelievably serious, and they seem like they have, or they feel like they have, an absolute mandate. And I'm kind of looking forward to that, you know, to have the consequences of that, where food prices go up because there's nobody there to pick the food, restaurants close because they can't, I mean, all of this. But sure, I think they're going to go ahead with it. I do think that they're going to prosecute every single person just to make a show of it and to intimidate people. It's all about intimidation legally, through presidential orders, and through violence. And, you know, that's, again, when you have Mark Milley, the #1 military officer in the United States before the election, saying to the American people, Donald Trump is a fascist to the core, this is what fascism is all about.
Sure. I think the problem is that a lot of people who were voting in the election couldn't even spell fascist. I mean, I don't even mean that as like an insult to put them down. I mean that it was the wrong message or packaged the wrong way. I mean, I know it seems like an odd thing to say, but somebody has to explain what fascism means. I mean, it really is everything has to get a lot more basic when it comes to communicating. Look at how they hung on Kamala Harris, the whole trans thing, the cultural issues that are at the margins. Kamala Harris, it wasn't even in her platform anything about trans people, but they hung it successfully on her because that liberal cultural divide is so real, and they knew that they could exploit it, and they did.
But we are very much at fault on that. There's this debate within the Democratic Party. It's like you don't address the fake news and the allegations and the fake attacks that the Republicans make against you. You let them go, because otherwise you're amplifying them. And I'd say, no, I have been insisting or begging my party, our party, to go, no, the border is not wide open. It could be more closed, but it's not wide open. We're sending back literally millions of people who are getting apprehended and sent back. That's not the definition of open. And no, we are not cutting off 8-year-old boys' penises during nutrition break in school. We're not doing that, right? And so this inability to fight back shows a lack of strength and terrible messaging, and we're letting the lying and deception and disinformation of Fox News and Elon Musk and Donald Trump to have a free hand. And that's just terrible messaging strategy, in my opinion.
I completely agree. In fact, Donald Trump doesn't let things just sit there. He addresses them. He says, "Oh, they've said, oh, now they're calling me this." Now, yeah. It's absolutely, you should cut these things down. And that soundbite with her rejecting these ridiculous propositions, these ridiculous notions about where she is on various issues, that should have been out there. Look, I thought she ran a very for a short time, super compressed time, I thought she ran a very good campaign in many, many ways. A couple of missteps. Sadly, in that short time, a couple of missteps can be amplified, and I think that hurt her. I also feel as though this cake was baked, and then you and I agree that there's some questions on the results. I would have loved to have seen a paper ballot recount. So, and again, just to reiterate, I love that you are making noise about this the constitutionality of swearing in Donald Trump. So again, when is this organized march or protest?
Okay, go to 14th now. Anyway, Jessica Denson is just this extraordinarily impressive.
She's coming on the show. Shew, right? Yeah.
Pitbull of a former Republican. It is happening between the January 3, 4, and 5 in Washington, D.C. And it will not make a difference, but I do think it's important symbolically, Mark. So yes. Go to hashtag 14th information. Her name is Jessica Denson, D-E-N-S-O-N. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to cow enough Democrats to do the right thing. But the truth is, are we going to literally lay without even uttering a peep? Or are we at least going to rub the country's nose in the most sacred document that especially the Republicans seem to carry around with them and say, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're violating it in plain sight. So I think it's just important as a way of pushing back and saying, we're not going to lay down without at least making a noise. We're watching you, and maybe we're not going to win this battle, but we will continue to fight. And that's
nowmarch.org. Exactly. And I think that's exactly right. We're not lying down without giving up, without giving it a fight, even though we know it's going to be a losing fight from a bottom line standpoint in the end. I love that you're making noise. Richard, stay in touch, and good luck. Happy New Year. We'll have a lot to talk about, my friend. Yeah. Until next time. Richard Greene, the Civics Dean, everybody. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It was great. I loved it.
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
Morning.
You cannot say you love your country.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Stay at home and get baked.
Right on, everybody. Right on. Stay at home and get baked. Smash
it with your iron rod.
Smash the like button if you've got it in your heart. It's free. Why not do something that's free here at the end of the year? Smash the thumbs up.
Smash it
like
with your iron rod.
Baby. You know it. You know you want it. You know you got to have it. You know you got to smash it. So smash it. I saw a couple of comments I will quickly get to. Blue Spark says, with a $10 super chat, here's to getting lit tonight and staying that way until 2028. Wow. Yeah. Well, we all have to medicate in our own way. Thank you, Blue Spark. Happy New Year to you. And there's this. Luis says, irony, having a racist sworn in on MLK Day. Perhaps they can fly the stars and bars to make the day complete. Yeah, how about that? These policies really are, they smack of a real racism. Sadly, we're just taking steps back in this country right now. Scott Rittenberg with a $20 super chat. Yet another Scott who loves the Mark Thompson Show crew.
Aw.
Ah. Steve M., John D., and all the others who helped the exiles live into autocracy, kleptocracy, idiocracy. Hope we can circle back to the Constitution. Right on. Very well said. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, that's for sure. Thank you for that. And Beneloco, anything can be hacked. Elon Musk. I don't know why they didn't go for that paper ballot. How can a future Democratic candidate win with right-wing media locking up television and internet media?
Yeah.
Asks Vilma, somewhat rhetorically, I'm sure, with a $5 super chat. Thank you. It is true. It's a real problem. And the Democrats really don't have the kind of media instrument of Fox News Channel and the media ecosphere, which is dominated by the right. And of course, I would add to that, with this show having come from the world of talk radio, there are almost no progressive talk radio shows. There are almost no centrist talk radio shows. There are no lib talk radio shows. They are dominated by the right wing. And that's a big way to communicate. So it does matter. Luis says, well, my gas isn't going to be $2 a gallon, eggs $1 a dozen, and my 401k isn't going to swell to $5 million? What kind of moron believes this? Thanks, America, says Luis. Yeah. I mean, they sold it, and if you say it enough and you say it the right way, it works. This from Peter. Found your radio show online this past year and enjoying your talks and interviews. I hope to hear more programs, as it has been difficult to navigate the political landscape. Peter Tarcio, a New York pianist. Wow.
Cool.
Oh, man, to be able to play piano, that is so great. Man, I was awful as a kid. I didn't practice. My parents got me lessons. My parents were cool, man. They gave me all the opportunities. I feel I didn't take them. I really did. I mean, it haunts me that I can't play an instrument. And I'm super envious, and I applaud you, Peter Tarcio, for being able to apply that skill. Anyway. Maybe, I'll tell you what, I'll make it a resolution. I'm going to become a concert pianist this year.
Let's keep it realistic. Like, how about you say, I'm going to learn to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Like,
I've
that's
always wanted to learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Baby steps, okay?
Do you have resolutions, Kim?
Probably health-wise. Yeah, I want to be more healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to eat better. I want to make better choices, you know?
Yeah. I have probably the same exact resolutions, you know.
I want to be a better mom.
Yeah. Well, you seem like a pretty terrific mom, but I understand we could always be better. Whatever.
Right.
That's a laudable kind of
yeah.
Yeah. Laudable's a ding word. All right, so what have we done? We've hit some messages. We've read some comments. I think we've all felt better about ourselves. Tony's been great. Kim's been great. It's a big finish to the year. Smash the like button.
It with your iron rod.
Kim's news. Jefferson Graham still to join. I also have a warning from the FBI. I want to share. It's not to you. It's to other high-profile people. And, God, I've got a pretty good law and disorder. I hope I can get it in. So let's see. Kim's news, Jefferson Graham. Yeah, I'll get it in. So FBI, Senator's son is sentenced. South Korea, the other shoe drops in that presidential world where the president, remember, attempted a coup. All of that is still to come. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I brought my Coachella Valley tea to Oregon, so I'm feeling good.
Baby, yeah.
The New
prepare
Year's
it right there in that kitchen.
Yes. Would you like a sample? The New Year's celebrations have started around the world. Look at those pictures. Thank you, Tony. Bring on the fireworks. Unless you have pets and you don't really want the fireworks. Thousands gathered in Sydney Harbor to ring in 2025 at 8 a.m. Eastern time here in the US. They were treated to a fireworks display that lasted about 15 minutes. And so now we have pictures coming in from around the world of the 2025 celebrations as they come in.
Have you ever celebrated from a place that, was like a day ahead like that, Asia or across the date line? Oh, yeah.
No.
It's pretty cool.
Have you?
Yeah. And, once. And it was really neat. And it was just, it's so wild that you're a day ahead. I mean, it just messes with your, your understanding of the world. It's just crazy, because people are still messaging you and you're interacting with people who are a day behind you. And it's just so interesting and fun. And
you thought, get with it, losers. It's already 2025. I'm first.
Yeah.
A large part of the country is set to get hit with some really chilly temperatures this week. A mass of Arctic air moved over the northern Rockies last night and shifted toward the plains as it heads to the East Coast by late tomorrow. This as a second blast of cold air is set to move across the same region over the weekend before a third wave of freezing temperatures hits the area next week. So cold. Former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral plans are all set. Services will begin January 4th in Plains, Georgia, culminating with Carter lying in repose at the Carter Presidential Center. Then the former president will lie in state in the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol Tuesday, January 7th. U.S. investigators are on the ground in South Korea to assist after Sunday's Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 crash killed 179 people. The sad one. The plane coming in from Bangkok skidded off the runway and hit a wall, burst into flames. Members of the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board are with the team. It includes advisors from the Federal Aviation Administration, from Boeing, and the engine manufacturer CFM International. So they're trying to figure out what happened here. More than 1 million people in Puerto Rico are without power after a blackout swept across the island. According to Luma Energy, about 90% of the nearly 1.5 million customers on the island are now in the dark. President-elect Trump is endorsing current House Speaker Mike Johnson to remain in that role. In a Truth Social post on Monday, Trump said, "Speaker Mike Johnson is a good, hardworking, religious man. He'll do the right thing and will continue to win." Trump's endorsement comes as the House is set to vote on a new speaker on Friday. And now there's word that maybe Trump's endorsement of Johnson isn't the deal breaker for everybody, that maybe he won't stay in that spot.
Wait a minute. You mean, meaning that his
it's not a done deal just because Trump endorses him.
Yeah, it could hurt him, actually. And I'll just reiterate something that I mentioned the other day, which is that, remember, if they can't get a speaker, I mean, if they end up doing the dance on the next speakership, the speakership that is now held by Johnson, if they end up doing the same thing they did with McCarthy, where they had to go through all those votes and then multiple days and all that sort of thing, that will bump right up against the certification of the election. Remember, January 6th, we talk about it because of everything that happened on January 6th, but at the core of it was a certification, and you can only do that with a Congress that is sworn in. You cannot swear in a Congress, a House of Representatives, without the Speaker. So they must have a Speaker. Otherwise, you hold up the presidential inauguration, the certification, etc. So there's a lot riding on this just from the standpoint of Donald Trump's future for the month of January.
Yeah, they won't mess with that. The Taliban says it will kick out all foreign non-governmental organizations that employ women in Afghanistan. That's so nice, isn't it? The country's economic ministry posted on X Sunday that failure to comply will result in NGOs losing their right to operate in Afghanistan. This 2 years after the government there told NGOs to stop employing Afghan women. Since coming back into power in 2021, the Taliban has banned post-primary education for girls and blocked women from many public spaces and roles.
It was so striking when we pulled out of Afghanistan and the Taliban made the statement. Remember, there was a big Taliban news conference in which they said women are not going to take a step back. Women's rights will be protected in the new Afghanistan. And of course, the minute we're gone, it's back to the old days. Women have nothing.
Remember that case out of Vallejo, that weird kidnapping case where they accused the boyfriend of a woman who was kidnapped of lying, and they accused her of lying, and the Vallejo police ended up being wrong and had to issue an apology? Well, there's a man that's already in prison for that 2015 kidnapping in Vallejo, who's now facing charges for a string of home invasion robberies in the South Bay. His name is Matthew Mueller. He was previously convicted of kidnapping Denise Huskins in 2015 from her Vallejo home and assaulting her before releasing her in Southern California. Now, authorities think Mueller is responsible for two separate incidents in Mountain View and Palo Alto in 2009, where he allegedly broke into homes and tied up and gagged women before ultimately fleeing the scene. Investigators say a break in DNA technology led them to believe Mueller is responsible for those home invasions too. He is already behind bars in Arizona. He would face life in prison if he's convicted on these new counts. So that plot thickens as we move along. And I know you were just crazy to find out the color of the year. I mean, you probably
I'm
just
glad.
couldn't wait.
I've got a couple of anticipated.
Right?
Yeah. I think I know, but I'm not sure. But go for it.
I'm here to help you. Pantone has released its 2025 color of the year. They have declared Mocha Mousse the color of 2025. There it is, Mocha Mousse.
It does have a richness to it. Yeah.
Yeah. They describe the color on their official website as capturing a global mood of connection, comfort, and harmony. Mocha Mousse.
Never would have guessed that. That wasn't even on my list.
No?
It's very
beautiful. Are you going to call the painters and have them bring in the Mocha Mousse?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mocha Mousse.
Yeah, Mocha Mousse. Very strong.
I don't know what it was. I think last year was some kind of lavender or something.
Looks like the color of dog poop, says John Watson. That's really not called for, John, please. Looks like poop, says, but a lot of people feel it does look like poop.
Oh, well, it's a little lighter. I don't know.
Tom says it looks like, yeah.
I mean,
we are all covered in that color. Beware of the odor, says Modirect.
Maybe it's fitting for 2025 and what's to come. Who knows?
We used to call that color S Brown, says Blue Spark. Yeah, it's funny. That color has really been upgraded in the PR world. But
another story for 2024 coming to an end. Multiple groups have chosen their word of the year. Dictionary.com says the 2024 word of the year is demure, after a social media creator described how to use the term in different settings. Merriam-Webster says the word most searched this year include polarization, along with totality and demure. Meantime, Oxford University surveyed 37,000 people, with respondents helping choose brain rot as the word of 2024.
Wow.
So there you go, just in case you're wondering.
There they
brain
are.
rot.
Demure, manifest, polarization, brat was one of the words, And then what was the last one? Brain rot?
Brain rot, yeah.
Huh. Man.
Which seems to me to be two words, but okay. Brain rot it is.
I agree. I kind of wondered about that too. Maybe it's hyphenated.
Yeah. Well, they didn't pick Mocha Mousse. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. It is
baby.
brain rot, named Oxford Word of the Year. There it is.
There it is.
It is two words. Even in the headline, it's two words.
Yeah. How do they square that? I don't know. All right. Well.
We're not rotting our brain. We are helping it with the Coachella Valley Coffee Christmas blend. Is there still Christmas blend for sale? Boy, is that good coffee.
Yeah, the holiday blend, baby.
The winter solstice holiday tea they have. My favorite is the vanilla tea. So good. You can get your exclusive Mark Thompson Show 10% off by typing in at checkout Mark T all together in the code box. Mark T gets you 10% off. Something to do for yourself in the new year. Get your delivery of Coachella Valley coffee and tea and start things off right.
Check out that holiday blend, whatever your holiday is, as we wrap up. You know, you can always blend it on out.
Happy Chinooka.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's still Chinooka, actually, isn't it? Still, I believe it's like, it's still going on.
Yeah.
So that and Kwanzaa, whatever your deal is. Yeah. rock it with some Coachella Valley coffee and enter Mark T at checkout, and you'll get 10% off everything, anything at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
I'm Kim McAllister. This is The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
I blame you.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
You cannot say you love your country.
Don't talk to me that way.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess.
I love it when you're angry. We're in better shape, but I don't think we're in wildly better shape.
They pay me a lot of money for having attitude.
This is a man with anger. This is a man that has resentment towards you.
There's always been, in this country, 30 to 35% idiots.
That's pure speculation.
That's not fake. That's real.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Why are you yelling?
Yeah, right on, everybody, right on. Yeah. You know it. It's the end of 2024. Bring on 2025. All the magic of 2025. There's got to be some good stuff happening. I mean, I know we're all grim about, the politics and all, and I understand why, believe me. But there's also going to be some great stuff in your life. It's absolutely going to happen. I decree it. So do not worry. I mean, don't let worry define your world in the coming year. And I'll tell you what lifted me up. Karen Martinez just became a new Patreon supporter.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. A $25 member of our community on Patreon, and it means so much to us, Karen. Thank you. I dropped you a note. Anytime you join Patreon or PayPal, I'll try to drop you a note and let you know how much we appreciate it. But either way, just know, and we add all of your names. Tony is so good about doing it at the beginning of every month. We add all your names to the list of supporters that we run on every show. And the reason we run it on every show is because without you, we wouldn't be able to put on every show. I mean, there isn't the money to cover payroll, et cetera. So thank you for being so much a part of the community of support, of interaction, and of financing the show. So very much appreciated. If you have any interest in being part of the Patreon or PayPal community, if you see value, if we become in any way a part of your life and you want to connect with us and support us, please consider joining our Patreon or PayPal community. You can do it at themarkthompsonshow.com. There's a link also under all of our videos to both PayPal and Patreon. And as I say, Karen is our latest. Also, I believe I have others to welcome. I'm going to note that Chris Oakley just upgraded his membership from $5 to $10. So thank you so much. Again, it really does matter. And where's my thank you so much?
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. And there are more. And I will give you more details on that. Laura, did I mention Laura before? She added to her membership. Laura Sutherland, $20 to $30 a month. Are you kidding me? I love it.
What?
I know. I'm loving it. And thank you, Sissa.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, guys. All of you. There are more. I will get to all of you. And I, again, will have all of your names added to the list of people who support this show. It means so much to us. Thank you. Vicky and Sausalito, Happy New Year to Mark, Kim, Tony, Albert, and all my chatting friends. Yeah, Vicky and Sausalito, very much a part of our chat, one of our OGs, and a special Happy New Year to all of you who came over from the radio show and have helped make this show grow here on this platform. Deirdre Lozica, also an OG from the radio, who came over here. $25 super chat. Happy New Year to my Mark Thompson Show family. Here's to hoping that 2025 will not be the disaster we are all dreading. Yeah, we'll watch it for you. And, you know, if it's disastrous, we'll tell you. But if it's not so bad, we'll tell you that too. Happy New Year, everyone, says Louis. Thank you, Deirdre. That was really generous, and we appreciate all your support. Really do. Luis with a $5 super chat saying, Happy New Year, everyone. Wishing everyone in the MT family a fantastic 2025. Yeah, we hope everybody has a wonderful new year. And as I say, there is a whole life apart from the politics of the day, and we'll make sure that we cover that and also breathe life into the things that are beautiful, you know. And locomotion, we can't stand down. Right on, we cannot. So, all right, I'm grateful to all of you, as mentioned, and smash the like button. My last request for the
with your iron rod.
Yeah, give us a thumbs up. It helps us in this world of YouTube. And on this last day of the
Mark Thompson Show,
last day of 2024, how about it for the guy who was the longtime tech writer at USA Today. Now he does PhotoWalks TV. He still gives us an eye on tech. He is the great Jefferson Graham. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Yeah.
Move over
right
a little
on.
bit, right?
Yeah. I'm loving your year-end stuff is usually very good. So don't disappoint me. What do you have at the end of the year looking back at tech?
The big story of the year would have to be the podcasts, the rise of the podcasts, and what Elon Musk ended up doing with Twitter that we all thought was kind of silly, and we thought we was running it into the ground, but in fact, he built it into his personal platform to spout off what you know, his thoughts, and I mean, who wouldn't want something so powerful? You know, I guess when you have that kind of money to spend $44 billion on it and then elect a president who becomes your new best friend.
Well, and who doubled his net worth doubled essentially overnight. I mean, not literally overnight, but almost literally. I mean, it's remarkable the amount of money, billions, that he made off of the acquisition of Twitter. So as you say, it could have been seen as a bad investment, which it by all yardsticks was, but once he bought the presidency, it's paid him back already.
Right. It was a vanity play, but it turned out to be quite a vanity play for him. You know, we'd all love to have such power, wouldn't we? Right?
Well, we'd use it for goodness and niceness, my friends. That's what we'd use it for.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then all those other bro podcasts that are out there that were being ignored, that turned out they were very powerful. And this is where people are going now to catch up on the world and get their version of the news, whether that be Call Me Daddy, which is not a bro podcast, whether that be Joe Rogan, whether that be the Mark Thompson Show. Look at the power of this show, still kicking 2.5 years later, right? 2.5 years.
No, exactly.
Right?
It's been really a great ride. Sure, absolutely. And we've achieved a momentum. I think that's largely the result of what you're talking about, sort of a bigger ecosphere, which has brought so many new users into the YouTube world, into the podcast world, the audio world, and so many of them have jumped on here as along the way.
Yeah, as far as new products go, I don't think there was anything that was revolutionary. I mean, I was showing you the Meta glasses last year. They just became more popular this year. The new iPhone is an iteration on the old iPhone. The camera's a little better, but it's not radically different. And maybe they'll be radically different next year. ChatGPT got a lot stronger and a lot more powerful and a lot more reliable and a lot more part of our lives, though all the AI tools that got added to phones was pretty much ado about nothing. A few editing things are kind of fun in there, but I don't know how you're using AI on a daily basis, but it's generally for you can crunch some numbers and say, add it up for me, or I could create a spreadsheet and it can make the spreadsheet for me, which is kind of nice. Sometimes the search is because it's chattier. I can keep it going, and that's kind of nice. But it hasn't. I don't think it's changed our lives yet. I mean, it will in the coming years, and people will be losing work. But so far, we haven't. The tools that AI was adding to tech gadgets did not change our lives.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I mentioned to you, and I'll just mention to the audience again, only because I thought it was an area in which there could be maybe some positives. The way in which you can use AI or ChatGPT in a therapeutic way, like a talk therapy kind of thing, where if you have something that's bothering you, have anxieties, you have whatever your world brings to you that, again, creates issues for you, you can actually, and this sounds weird, but I actually did it. You can talk to the AI therapist, and oddly, the unburdening that you might feel talking to this machine, it really does work. It works in the sense that, in a way, you don't get anything much different than you get from a real therapist. And apologies to all the real therapists out there, but I'm just saying that there is a playback quality to the conversation, which is exactly what talk therapy is about. If anybody who's gone through any kind of therapy where you're kind of talking it through, the therapist plays back for you little things, follows up on various things, and you speak more. I did it for about a half hour, and I thought it was interesting. Again, I don't know that it necessarily is ready for prime time, but I don't know that it's not. I mean, as I say, there might be potential there.
Okay, just to let you know, Mark, I'm always available.
Okay.
Whenever you need me. Always happy to talk. Okay?
Okay, great.
Okay. So the two products that I think were the most interesting of the year were the self-flying drone called the Neo from DJI that you just toss in the air and off it goes without having to have any controllers. So there was that one, which I really loved. And my teleprompter that I'm speaking on right now, a little $200 teleprompter that made Zoom calls so much better.
Yeah, because you can put the screen up where you're looking, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's made by Elgato because, it used to be that I would do the show with you and I'd be looking at you the whole time like this, and now I can see your face.
Yeah, that's very cool. Good.
CES is coming up. I'm leaving on Sunday. It used to be called the Consumer Electronics Show. Now it's just called CES. And it's the world's biggest gadget show, electronic show, etc. I haven't been there since 2019. We'll see. Actually, 2020. 2020 was my last visit. It got really crazy. A lot of stuff that we really don't care about. But I just read an article this morning in The Verge that said next year will be the year of the smart lock. Okay, that there was more innovation this year than in prior years. And they talked about facial lock, looking at a lock and palm import. I got an email about a fingerprint smart lock. They just put my finger on it, and that will be my way of opening it. Okay. For all those people who lose keys, I don't know if you want to spend $200 for that. But some of the other crazy things, and I will be reporting for you live from the show next Tuesday.
I love that. I love it.
Okay. So we have a robot vacuum that can climb stairs.
Yeah.
We have a AI smart spice dispenser. You want more details on this, but you're not going to get them because I just wrote down the line. We have the first AI glasses with a lens-free display. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does
I'm not
that mean?
sure. I think when we put on our glasses, we're going to see stuff in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, do we have the big announcement, Q? Because I have a big announcement.
Oh, do you really? Yeah, of course we do. It's the major announcement.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show. A major announcement.
We haven't used the major announcement sounder in a while. What's going on?
Right.
What is the major announcement?
This is exclusive to the listeners and viewers of the Mark Thompson Show. The press release is going out on Friday. So we're scooping it. Okay. Photo Walks TV, my travel series that I've been working on for several years, is now has a TV home beyond YouTube. And it's going to be on Scripps News every Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern as a half-hour travel show.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That really is special. Wow.
They've ordered 30 episodes.
Wow. That is sick money, my friends. Jefferson Graham is my new rich friend.
Yeah,
I love it. I will tell you that this reminds me of your dad. I'm sorry. I loved your dad, as you know, and the idea that you could be doing a show that would show up on television, and it's these walks and exposures to all these different super cool environments and places and people. That is very much Jerry Graham. And I love that Jefferson Graham, his son, is doing it. Very cool.
The twist would be with the iPhone tips, right? And
there's a lot different actually in a way, probably, but the fundamentals just remind me anyway.
But it's great. His show was recorded on what was it, 3/4 inch beta cam.
You had to hold the camera like that, right? It was you had a camera guy with you.
And I do every episode on an iPhone.
I love it, and it's just you. That's what you do, all of it yourself. That's really great. Congratulations.
So the first episode, we're going to San Francisco on Sunday, and it's actually a two-parter because there was so much to cover. And even then, it was just a sliver. So in the first day, and the first half hour, we're at the Ferry Building, and we're in North Beach, and we're in Chinatown, and we're on the Hyde Street cable car, and we're at Fisherman's Wharf, and we're Nob Hill by the Fairmont. And so there's a lot there. And then in the second episode, we're doing the mission murals and the painted ladies in the Haight District.
I love it. I love it. All great things to look forward to. Terrific stuff.
And we'll still be on YouTube, and we'll still be on YouTube every week too.
Yeah, you're just expanding your footprint. I love that. Photo Walks TV, find it on YouTube. Also now find it on a Scripps television station near you. On Sundays at 3 or Saturdays at 3?
Sundays at 3 p.m. ET, but they're also rerunning them all through the day as well.
Damn right they are.
Yeah.
For all that big money they're giving you, they can run it a couple of times. Yeah. I loved it. Loved your dad's work, says Scott. Thanks, Pops. And too bad Jefferson Graham isn't related to Bill Graham, is what Phineas.
We could put on some shows. We could put on some shows.
Yeah,
yes.
But very, very cool. Anyway, what broadcast? Mo, you have to check. I think you have to check your local listing. What's the broadcast station? What terrestrial channel?
And pick up the Scripps app, the Scripps News app on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. That'll be the easiest way for you to find it.
Good stuff. Happy New Year. Thanks for all your support this year, and I look forward to more in the new year.
Big Happy New Year to Mark and Kim and Tony and all the great viewers and listeners of The Mark Thompson Show.
Jefferson Graham, everybody. Thanks, Jeff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Wow. I am excited that Jeff is, I like to say, he's broadening his reach. And I'd also say that we can take that banner that says Jefferson Graham Photo Walks off. There we go. And I'd also say, I didn't say this to Jeff when he was here, but you're welcome. Yeah, that's what I want to say. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, you know.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big deal.
This show helped build his momentum of his show. We routed all of these people over to Photo Walks TV. So then he goes into the meeting with Scripps and goes, look at all these subscribers I have. Yeah, they're Mark Thompson subscribers. Unbelievable. Maybe a Christmas card or something, maybe next year after, to recognize the success. What is that line? Success has many fathers, failure dies an orphan. Every time somebody has something successful happen, a bunch of people kind of crowd in and go, yeah, let me tell you, I had something to do with that. But if something doesn't work, people go, oh, I had nothing to do with that. I'm so glad I didn't know. Yeah. So, yeah, very happy for him. He is definitely a part of our Mark Thompson Show family. I do have time for it, don't I, Tony? I think I do. Kim, don't I?
What do we have time for? Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. This is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law, you're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, it is a warning that's going out to high-profile athletes through the world of social media. They connect with their fans, but the FBI is sending a warning. It's a memo to sports leagues saying that athletes should avoid becoming victims. Victims, you say? How could that be? They are warning that star athletes who display valuables on social media are vulnerable to burglars who are familiar with their often public travel schedules.
Mm-hmm.
The Bureau issuing this best practices memo as part of a long-standing practice of communicating with private businesses about crime trends. And it's called a liaison information report, and it is urging the leagues to advise athletes to limit imagery of valuables like cash, jewels, electronics, public accounts, expensive cars. Keep your bling under the roof. Keep the bling quiet. Star athletes and their loved ones have become victims of burglaries this year. You'll remember Travis Kelce, quarterback Patrick Mahomes, both from the Kansas City Chiefs. Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis Jr., Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. Say it ain't so. Luka in Dallas from the Dallas Mavericks. And the fiance of Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, all hit by thieves.
Well, it makes perfect sense that, you give all the thieves all the information they need when you'll be out of town, what you got.
Exactly.
It's like laying out an invitation.
That's exactly right. In South Korea, the court has issued an arrest warrant for the embattled president, Yoon Suk Yeol. It's the first time a sitting South Korean president has faced an arrest warrant, and the dramatic news showdown between investigators and the president came the same day extraordinary new details emerged of the night that Yoon tried to shutter Parliament. We talked about it here. He was stripped of his presidential powers after South Korea's parliament voted to impeach him earlier this month. Well, South Korea's anti-corruption agency is after him. The arrest warrant issued after Yoon, who is a former prosecutor himself, had refused to answer summonses by investigators in recent weeks asking for his cooperation. So now he is a wanted man. This from the world of the Senate. A senator's son has now been sentenced over killing a deputy in a 100-mile-an-hour car chase. It was the son of a sitting Republican senator sentenced to 28 years for killing a sheriff's deputy after a 100-mile-an-hour meth-fueled car chase. Ian Kramer, 43, whose father, you see there, Kevin Kramer, is the two-term Republican junior senator from North Dakota, crashed into Deputy Paul Martin's cruiser after escaping a hospital where his mother had taken him for mental health treatment. And he drove 70 miles at high speed across the state. This is earlier in 2023, actually. It's the end of last year. So the case has been percolating all this time, but the sentencing just happened. He was sentenced to 38 years and then got 10 years suspended for homicide while fleeing a peace officer, preventing arrest, reckless endangerment. I don't know why they suspended 10 years, but they did. In any case, he gets 28 years in prison, and he was just sentenced this week. No consequences for Donald Trump. Special counsel Jack Smith withdraws from the appeal of classified documents case against Trump's co-defendants. He's withdrawn the appeal of the classified documents case against President-elect Donald Trump and co-defendants, referred in the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida. So let me just, on the one hand, I would say this. Yes, Jack Smith has withdrawn that case, but he hasn't completely erased that case. He dropped it with the Southern District of Florida. I will talk to David Katz on Thursday about what that means. Let me just give you a preview, though. It means that the case isn't over. Now, you may say, well, look, Mark, as a practical matter, the guy's going to be president, doesn't have to face any of the legal stuff, and he's probably not going to have to face this. Yeah, but the wheels of justice potentially grind on in a case that I always felt was the easiest case to make. The guy jacked thousands of documents from the White House, moved them to Mar-a-Lago, at minimum Mar-a-Lago, maybe Mar-a-Lago, Bedminster, Trump Tower, etc. And then, when asked to return them, he actively hid them and helped engineer the effort to defeat the subpoena by moving the documents, claiming that he returned them all. So it's a very straightforward case. That's why I wanted that case to get out there into the public initially, early on. It never did because the concierge judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, essentially buried it for Donald Trump. But what Jack Smith is doing is he is dropping the appeal, that is to say, leaving the appeal with the Southern District. And so the appeal continues potentially with the Southern District of Florida. But as I say, we'll talk to David Katz about what that would actually mean and the future of that entire situation regarding Trump and regarding being held to account in some way, either for Trump or his henchmen on that case. And that is law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people...
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, wino...
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey,
let's be careful out there.
Right on, everyone.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
All right.
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It is so cool to wrap up with all of you today. I know that there are many plans for tonight. Many of you are laying low. I like the laying low plan. I wish we were laying a little lower than we are.
What are you doing? What are you guys going to a big Hollywood party?
Dinner. Yeah, we're going to a dinner, and I don't know. I'm tired. As you can tell, I'm burnt out. I've lost the will to continue. Please don't drag me to another social event.
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let's just check out on some quick comments. Mike Johnson is the best sycophant money can buy, says John. Yeah, in terms of the speakership, that's why, of course, the news of the day is that he's been endorsed by Trump to continue. On New Year's Eve, Waymo, wondering why doors fail to open when their cabs reach destinations. They figured out that oldsters are falling asleep during their ride and not waking up.
What?
Thank you, SF Tesla, for that.
A little nap in the back seat,
I will tell you this about Waymo. I was reading about this for New Year's Eve. In San Francisco, anyway, they are, if somebody passes out, they have a special way in which they can interact with them. And there is technology to see inside the ride. It's blurred, so they can't see what you look like. But then if no one responds, like if you've passed out in a Waymo ride because you've been overserved or whatever the reason, and you don't respond to them reaching out to you, they upgrade it essentially to a group of very small number of people who are actually able to look into the Waymo. Again, most employees of Waymo can't look in. It's all blurred. But there are a couple at the executive level. They look in, and then they dispatch emergency personnel if needed, like if somebody's really in need of trouble. That's the way it's in need of help. that's the way it's handled. But SF Tesla didn't know about the senior citizen thing. I just dropped in, says Surfer Norm. Hello, Beniloco, who is in the chat. And also, I just dropped in Happy New Year's, he says. Yeah, Happy New Year to you. And Harry, how about a 2025 super chat? He says, all the best to the fam in the new year. Thank you so much, pal. Great to have you a regular part of our community, and I appreciate the super chat.
Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out, sure. Happy New Year, says Tammy. Right on. Charlie Kirk says that the U.S. needs to halt all immigration and that no rich tech bro is going to tell us otherwise. Well, this just in. Rich tech bro just did tell you otherwise, and it will be the policy of the incoming administration. That's on the controversial visas. Too many podcasts, says Judge Just Give Me the Truth, to keep track of. And sooner or later, to compete, they become obnoxious and make the podcasts almost useless. Wow. Well, at least you have a narrative, Just Give Me the Truth. I'm looking forward to obnoxiousness. AI therapists are a bad idea, says Chai. I was saying that I thought it was intriguing the way the AI therapist was interacting with me for about 30 minutes.
Sure.
But I wasn't really discussing anything super personal or whatever. But Vicky in Sausalito says AI therapists might be okay for mild problems. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
See, you really have to trust that the therapy session with AI isn't being recorded and could be played back to some other people. Like,
well,
the real therapists don't they have an oath they take where whatever you tell them stays with them, that they'll lose their license if they go telling people your business? I don't think
but
AI has the same oath.
Many a divorce has been populated with stuff that's been out of a therapy session. It's usually from, to be fair, though, one of the people involved in the couple's counseling. Benaloco, though, agrees with you. Tell your deepest worries to a robot. What could possibly go wrong?
Thank you. Yes.
So you, I think, are onto something there. Yeah. Anyway, I'm seeing a lot of Happy New Year's. We really wish you all the very best. Kim, have I left anything out? I'm feeling as though we've done everything. I don't know.
The Mark Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year's to the crew here. Happy New Year's to the audience. Thank you for another year of sticking with us here on YouTube.
Yeah, appreciate it very, very much. Everything that Kim said, I sign on to. And how about this? Can you give it to me in the Hawaiian? This is what Karen is saying from Hawaii. Haole mai kiao. Do you see it,
That's
Kim?
Pretty good, yeah. You did it really well.
No, I didn't. You just don't want to boot it, so you're leaving it to me.
Haole makahiki hao.
Okay, very good.
And aloha.
And aloha. The aloha God.
Happy New Year.
We need a spirit of aloha in this show in the new year. I love that. Happy New Year all, and thank you for all the support this year. It really has mattered, and it has touched all of us as well. The After Party Live is coming up. We're dark tomorrow, but then back on Thursday with a conversation with David
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye,
We're
bye.
out of time. Bye.